U.S. federal government budget. Mark Twain has been credited with saying this about lies. There are lies, there are darn lies, and then there's statistics. So we're going to look at statistics. If you look at deficits and surpluses since 2000 all the way to 2014, we have the good. We had a surplus. From 2001 through 2008, this was the bad. And then we had the financial crisis, which made it really bad. And we ran these large deficits. Let's put this into perspective by adding some zeros. This is 1.4 trillion. This is 1.2 trillion. This is the amount that the government overspent compared to what they brought in with taxes. So here's the good, a surplus. Here's the bad, starting to run deficits. And here's the really bad because of the financial crisis. As you notice, even during the bad times, at least the real GDP was increasing. When we hit the financial crisis, we had negative economic growth. When you look at the federal budget, here is how many pages are in the federal budget. We'll go through this quickly. You can stop the video if you want to look at it a little more carefully. And so the federal budget is 2,582 pages. We're going to look at mandatory spending versus discretionary spending. When you look at the spending of the U.S. government, you have both mandatory or non-discretionary spending and discretionary spending. What you see here is what's called non-discretionary or mandatory spending. 67 to 70% of the federal budget goes to mandatory or non-discretionary spending. So all of this is about 67 to 70% of the federal budget. Why has mandatory spending increased over time? Number one, the number of beneficiaries on Social Security and Medicare have risen as the average age of the population has risen, and then healthcare costs per capita have grown faster in recent years. Now that we've looked at what's called non-discretionary spending or mandatory spending in the red, let's now look at what's called discretionary spending. Everything listed in black is discretionary spending. You can tell by looking at mandatory spending that takes up a large chunk of the federal budget compared to discretionary spending in black. This is what the federal government has discretion over spending.